In my world, fiduciary is a very important term. This is a special legal term, and it refers to a certain type of relationship. It's a relationship where one person is acting for the benefit of one or more other persons, and the person who's doing the acting is charged with serving in the best interests of the other person. And they really have a lot of power. It's a position of trust and confidence. It's an important role. There are several types of fiduciaries. If a person executes a durable power of attorney document, under that document they designate an agent, also known as an attorney in fact, to act for them. That agent or attorney in fact is a fiduciary. If the probate court appoints a conservator or a guardian for someone, then the conservator or guardian, that's another type of fiduciary. Two of the most common types would be the personal representative of a deceased person's estate. That's a fiduciary. Also, whoever is serving as trustee of a trust, any type of trust, that's another fiduciary role. There are several different fiduciary duties that apply to each fiduciary. Let's run through some of them. There is a duty of loyalty. This means that the fiduciary has to act solely in the interest of the beneficiaries and put the beneficiary's interest before and above the fiduciary's own self-interest. There's a duty of impartiality. When a fiduciary is acting for more than one beneficiary, the fiduciary has to treat all of them fairly and cannot favor one over the other. There is a duty to account. A fiduciary typically is managing property and finances. There is money coming in and being received from certain sources. There is money that is being distributed, going certain places, being used to pay expenses. And at the end of a certain period, there's a certain amount of money left. And periodically, the law says that the fiduciary has to provide an accounting to those who are entitled to it. A fiduciary has a duty to follow the document. An agent may be acting under a durable power of attorney, which says what powers the agent has. You have to follow the document. A personal representative is acting under a will. You have to follow the document. A trustee is acting under a trust agreement. You have to follow the document. Yes, the fiduciary has a lot of power, but that power has to be exercised consistent with what the document says. There's a duty of care, and that means that when the fiduciary is performing some job, performing some task, it matters how carefully the fiduciary does that. It cannot be done in a sloppy way, in a negligent way, in a reckless way. They have to meet a certain standard of care. A fiduciary has a duty to invest prudently. Again, this relates to the fiduciary managing property and finances for somebody else. Often that involves making investment decisions. Those need to be prudent investment decisions. Now, I'll say this, when a court does that analysis to see whether investments were prudent, the focus is not on individual particular investments necessarily. The focus more is on the broader portfolio and whether each individual investment makes sense within the context of a diversified portfolio. Finally, a fiduciary has a duty to segregate assets. What does that mean? Well, the fiduciary has its own assets, and it also has the assets it is managing for somebody else's benefit. And never the twain shall meet. They need to be kept separate. That means that a trustee doesn't take trust assets and put them in the trustee's personal checking account. The interesting thing about this area of law is that more often than not, people select friends or relatives to serve as their fiduciaries. You, son, you're going to administer my estate. You, daughter, you're going to administer my trust. And that's fine, but typically these friends or family members are lay people. They may not even know what the term fiduciary means. They may not be familiar with fiduciary duty. And so it's very easy for a layperson who has never served in this role before to make a mistake, to run afoul of one of these fiduciary duties that I just described. And when that happens, we say that there has been a breach of duty or a breach of trust. If you're new to the concept of fiduciary duty, I'd like you to take away the following points. Fiduciary law is complicated and complex, and it's easy for a novice serving in a fiduciary role to make a mistake. Really, it's best to consult an attorney who specializes in this area as soon as you start to serve as a fiduciary. But if you don't do that and you inadvertently make a mistake, then certainly contact an attorney as soon as you're aware of the mistake. If you're a fiduciary and you've been accused of wrongdoing, we can help. And if you're a beneficiary and your fiduciary is either not doing the job or not doing the job properly, then we can also help. We regularly represent fiduciaries and beneficiaries in this area.